thing that stands out the most is the iconic white headphones.
Take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine.
Apple is a master of simplicity.
4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks. Now you don't need the money when you look like that, do you?
You can't even really tell what they're plugged into. I'm Patrick Laughlin, Chief Operating Officer for iProv. I bet you didn't know I'm also a former creative director. We're gonna dive back into some classic ads, and this time we're talking about maybe one of the most iconic advertisers ever. We're gonna talk about Apple. This is dangerous territory because some people love Apple ads, some people hate Apple ads. I tend to fall into the first camp. I think for the most part, Apple is one of the best sort of advertising and marketing companies on the planet. We're gonna look at the 1984 ad. This ad has an incredible backstory. It was one of the first ads to be shot by a real Hollywood director. Ridley Scott was the director on it. He had just come out with Alien. The board of directors for Apple famously hated it. They had bought 2 spots during the Super Bowl that year, and the board of directors said, we don't wanna run this. Do whatever you got to get rid of it. And they were able to sell one of their spots to another advertiser, but they famously ran this ad once and only once, but they've gotten 35 years worth of play out of this one advertisement. Let's take a look.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created for the first time in all history a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So there's a lot going on in this commercial. One of the most powerful tools in a marketer's toolbox is to create this us versus them sort of mentality. And if we can get you to resonate with us, we can build lifelong customers just out of that us versus themism. This is one of those things where if we can divide one segment off from the other and pit them against each other, we can sort of build our own little community that only listens to what we say. And candidly, Apple has done that better than just about anybody. Since this ad came out, there has always been Apple people and PC people. At the time, it was IBM, and really what the ad was supposed to say is, we believe that the rise in personal computing, specifically the way Apple does it with a human-first design, colorful graphics, everything else, is the antithesis to what IBM sees as a personal computer, which, if you remember using an IBM personal computer in the late 80s or early 90s, it felt sort of dystopian. You had to know all of these arcane keyboard, sort of commands to get anything done. And, you walk up to an Apple and it's just intuitive. Let's get back to a little more us versus themism. One of the most famous ads from the early 2000s from Apple's was the Mac versus PC. And once again, look at how they try to divide up 2 parts of the population. The Mac people versus the PC people.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
Hello, I'm a PC.
We have a lot in common these days.
We both run Microsoft Office. We share files. It's great. We just get along.
PC. Yep. Okay.
Hi, I'm a PC.
Okay, we're past that. We moved beyond that.
Yeah, I had to restart there. You know how it is.
No, actually, I don't.
Oh, what? Macs don't have to...
We had him, then we lost him. I'm gonna go get IT. Keep an eye on him.
I really like these ads. I think that this ad campaign probably ran too long, and they sort of overused the Justin Long hipster thing as well as the John Hodgman, nerd in a suit trope. But it certainly accomplishes the goal, which is to separate the PC people from the Mac people. And really what they're trying to say is Macs are for people that create things. They're for revolutionaries. And PCs are for people that spend all their time on spreadsheets. They count dollars and they generate mind-numbing reports. What they're trying to do is get you to identify yourself as this kind of person. And if you're this kind of person, the only choice for you is an Apple computer. Very powerful, but you have to be very careful about how you do it, because people catch on, eventually that this is more of a cult than it is, a buying decision. Speaking of cults, the next ad was a reaction completely to something that I don't even think Apple expected to be such a big deal. In the early days of the iPod, it was all about having 10,000 songs in your pocket. And that was certainly a great selling point. It's what launched the iPod and all of the other various Apple things, through the stratosphere. But what really became iconic, what set iPod people apart from everybody else that had a music player, was the white headphones. This little white necklace that everybody wore around their neck and in their ears. And so Apple's great ad team over at Media Arts Lab, they put together a set of spots that was really colorful, focused on dancing silhouettes. But the thing that stands out the most is the iconic white headphones. You can't even really tell what they're plugged into. Let's take a look. Once again, Apple is a master of simplicity, and they realize really quickly what is most iconic about their products. And this is a perfect example of finding the thing that creates community within your audience or your buyer, the thing that says, hey, you're just like me, despite our differences, this is how we're similar. In this case, it was a simple set of white earbuds when all other headphones were black or gray. Pretty smart. So the next ad we're going to look at from Apple is the original iPhone ad. I think this is really interesting, but it does sort of show that the evolution of the phone, and specifically how Apple has sort of set their mark as an innovator in the evolution of something so simple.
A widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device.
And they use scenes from some classic TV shows and some classic movies in order to get that across. Let's take a look.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
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 Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Oh, hello, Barney.
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Bonjour.
Hi.
How you doing there? Yellow.
Hello.
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 Hello?
Hello.
Yo, yo.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
So once again, it's an ad introducing what is probably one of the most revolutionary products in history. Arguably, you could say that other people had done what Apple did with the iPhone beforehand, but nobody had thought of just a big slab of glass that you interact with your finger. I think it's a great way to sort of say, this is a brand new version of a thing that you're very familiar with, and the way that you interact with the thing that you're very familiar with is never going to be the same again.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Speaking of revolutionary products like the iPhone, I would tell you that Apple has done more to sort of transform the form factor of something that I think all of us have some version of sitting on our desk. It's the laptop, right? I can remember as a kid when you'd see a laptop, I mean, it was thick. And in fact, just a little bit before my time, a portable computer fit in a suitcase. In this ad, we're going to look at Apple introducing the MacBook Air. This was the first computer that could literally fit into a manila envelope. This was revolutionary in a lot of ways because even at the time, most laptops, even some of Apple's laptops, were heavy and bulky. And here is this thing that is no bigger than a stack of a few sheets of paper. that you can literally take with you everywhere, that you can be comfortable just sort of throwing into a bag and, sitting on your couch instead of having to lug this big, heavy thing around. Let's take a look.
I'm a new soul. I came to this strange world hoping I could learn a bit about how to give and take. I'm a young soul in this very strange world hoping I could learn a bit about what is true and fake. La 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 la.
One of the other things that Apple does fantastic in their ads is they pair just the right music to what they're trying to say. And this is perfect. I'm a new soul. This is a brand new thing. People had never seen a laptop this thin. Apple never fails to innovate and be revolutionary at almost everything they do, including their advertising. And I think there's a whole lot that we can learn from them. How can we build a community around what we do? How can we make that community feel special by telling them that they're special, right? That they're, I hate to say this, that they're better than the people that don't use our product. How can we communicate the kind of innovative work that our companies are doing in a way that doesn't feel like beating your chest, but that does say that, hey, we're doing things that no one else is doing and maybe no one else is capable of at the moment. I know that Apple is a very contentious thing. It's likely to start a fight in the comments. So tell us down in the comments below. Are you an Apple fan? Are you an Apple hater? Maybe you're an Android user and you've got a different perspective. We'd love to know about it. Also, if you'd like some help on how to improve your ads or get your story about how you're innovating in your space out, reach out to us at iprovonline.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.